He is scientist from Krishi Vigyan Kendra, Leh, Ladakh. He will present on structural reforms in Indian agriculture in farmers' security. Dr. Praveen Kumar.
Hello. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Am I audible to all, sir?
Yes,
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon to all of you. Hello.
Good noon. You're most welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon to all the participants. Hello. Hello.
Mohit Kumar, kindly share PPT.
Okay. Sir, you will share my PPT, sir. You will share my
Yes,
PPT.
yes, definitely. Please.
I have already mailed you, sir. Thank you.
Mohit Kumar ji, kindly share PPT.
Dr. Sahab, first I will start by congratulating you. I have seen you. Okay. Sir, during the entire COVID period, you have been organizing the conferences, participating in the conferences. So you have been a very good, sir, Corona warrior. I must congratulate you for organizing this international conference. I had heard 3 lectures before mine, and that all were very good and very informative. The lecture on the nanoparticles and the use of biotech by Dr. C.K. Sharma, all were very informative. Today, sir, I will present this PPT on the recent structural changes in Indian agriculture, because the topic of this conference, a role of science and agriculture towards global food security and rural development. So science and agriculture is must for food security, but I do believe that for food security, farmers security is also must. After independence, there were so many programs for the farming community, but hardly any of them cared for the farmer security. All our government policies, all our programs were for food security. So what is the result today is that we have seen so many farmers suicides. The farmers still are financially excluded. They are not provided the credit facilities. They are behind the extension technologies. So I thought that this a PPT on farmer security. So, sir, agriculture in India has made many strides. When we got independence, we had a production of 50 million tons. Now we are producing 290 million tons of food grains. Agriculture accounts for 15% of the GDP and supports the livelihood of 50% of Indian population. Today we are the largest producer of pulses, spice, milk, tea, cashew, jute, banana, jackfruit, and many other commodities. Today, India is second in the production of fruit and vegetables, wheat, rice, cotton, oil seeds, and sugarcane. The food grain production in the country is estimated at 291.9 million tons. The wheat production is also recorded at 106 million tons, and this is higher by 2.61 million tons as compared to the previous year. The country also has the largest livestock population. The livestock population accounts for 31% of the total livestock population of the world. And see our milk contribution, we contribute our 22% of the total global milk produce of the world. It is a very important achievement of our livestock sector. But you see the per capita availability of milk, that is 394 gram, which is less as compared to that of the developed economy. And also the country stands at 5th position when it comes to the poultry. So this was all a brief about the agriculture. No, country, not only country, the whole world is going through this deadly coronavirus, the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic has killed millions of people, and it is day by day it is taking the toll. What is more shocking that the in many countries this virus has shown the resurgence. In countries China and Singapore and Hong Kong, we have seen the virus coming back, and the countries have taken some steps. India too was a victim of this COVID and devised its strategies accordingly. At there was a time when in the whole world 162 countries they went into the lockdown, and still some countries are in the lockdown. In the lockdown condition and in restricted movement and so many restrictions, the global economy was on the verge of a collapse. The growth rate of many countries slowed down. Unemployment was on the rise. Many people were thrown out of their jobs, and ultimately the world bodies like the UNO and this World Food Program, they feared that it might lead to a food insecurity among the peoples. So in fact, we have a report of the Director General FAO, which said that COVID-19 is not only a major public health concern, but it is also a threat to the global food security. And on April 21 this year, United Nations United Nations projected that due to this pandemic, 265 million people across the world would face severe food insecurity. With factories shutting up, industries closed, many people were thrown out of the jobs. Millions of jobs were lost within 2 or 3 months, and with millions of people losing their jobs, millions of people went into the food insecurity. When this year started at the beginning of 2020, some 135 million people around the world were facing extreme hunger. And we have a report of the David Wesley, Executive Director, World Food Program, which said that 265 million people at the end of the year would be food insecure, and and world will see famine in at least 3 dozen countries. So this was a warning for everybody. In fact, it was not a warning; it was a information for all the world bodies to gear up their activities to face the COVID-19, and at the same time do something to revive the agriculture sector, which faced so many setbacks during this 2 to 3 months. Now I will come to the Indian side. How this pandemic affected the Indian economy. You see, the first lockdown was announced on March 25. So this lockdown was the biggest in the world, which restricted the movement of 1.3 billion people in India. And you see how much this lockdown affected us financially. It The cost of the lockdown in India was estimated to be 26 billion US dollars, and the Indian economy was expected to lose 32,000 crore every day during the first 21 days of the lockdown. This is a report by the Account Ratings. This is a body that works under the SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India. Similarly, another agency was Barclay. It also estimated that the financial loss to India during the first 21 days of the shutdown was rupees 8.5 lakh crore, that is US dollar 120 billion. During these 2 to 3 months, what happened? The unemployment that reached a 45 years high rate. It is estimated that during this lockdown, some 140 million people lost the employment. When there was a lockdown, we were a $2.8 trillion economy. And in the lockdown scenario, only about a quarter of quarter of Indian economic movement was functional. Rest, all the industries, all the factories, all this transport, this conveyance, all was shut down. So besides this, the tourism industry also suffered badly. It was estimated that the tourism industry will suffer up to a loss of 15,000 crore. You see Indian exports, they fell by 36%. The imports, they fell by 47% only in the month of April. And you see, if we see the age group, which age group was most worstly affected during this COVID-19 pandemic? You see, people between the age of 20 and 44 years, they were mostly impacted by this coronavirus because they were the ones who lost their jobs. It is reported that 14% of the people between age of 40 and 44, they lost their jobs only in the month of April. You see, this was a brief on the impact of economy on the COVID. Now I will describe how this COVID affected the Indian agriculture scenario. You know, this when this COVID came in India, it was a time for harvesting of rabi crops. It was a time for harvest of wheat crop. You know, see, in northern India, states like Punjab, UP, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, farmers were preparing to go for the harvest of wheat crop. But when suddenly this lockdown was announced by our honorable PM, so people found themselves restricted. They were unable to go to their fields. So when they were unable to go to their fields, there was a labor shortage. And when some relaxation was given, farmers went to their field and they started harvesting their crop. You see, all these resulted in a very steep decline in the farm prices. All of us have seen many farmers in Maharashtra and this Punjab, they're selling their vegetables at 1 rupee per kg, 2 rupee per kg. In fact, many farmers, they just threw away their vegetables on the road because they were even not able to get the money they were spending in bringing their vegetables from their field to the market. Similarly, there were reports of wheat prices. They were in Madhya Pradesh, wheat which was once sold at 20 rupees 2200 per quintal, that went down to 1600 per quintal. There was a there was a very steep decline in the farm prices. Similarly, there was a reduction in the yield. In fact, we had a nationwide survey conducted by an agency. This is Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. It conducted a survey during the lockdown period. This survey was conducted in 200 districts across 12 states of Rajasthan, this Madhya Pradesh, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka, 12 states. This survey reported that the farming community in India reported a decline in yield up to 40%. And how this yield declined? This yield declined because of the lack of laborers, because of the shortage of the transport facilities. And the survey further said that 30% of the farmers, they were unable to harvest their crops. When they were unable to timely harvest their crops, it resulted in a decline in their yield. Similarly, our livestock, that was also affected by this pandemic. In fact, there was no sector that was not affected by this pandemic. The livestock, the survey said that of the 77% of the livestock farmers, 63% farmers reported that they had a decline in the milk production because of the restrictions. They were unable to go to the market to bring feed and fodder for their milk animals. Ultimately, it affected the milk production. Similarly, poultry. Poultry was a victim of the rumors. From the very beginning, it was reported that poultry has nothing to do with the coronavirus. There was no relation between the coronavirus and the poultry. What rumors on the Facebook, on the social media, that poultry is also affected by the coronavirus. What happened? People stopped this poultry products. The farming community went for distress sale. So it is reported that due to these rumors, the Indian poultry industry suffered a loss of US $236 million. Indian poultry industry suffered a loss of US $236 million. It was a very big loss, and this big loss was only due to lies, only due to rumors, which has nothing to do with the reality. Similarly, our fishery sector, that was also reported to be having gone into the loss. Now, what happened? The our government under the this leadership of our Prime Minister Modi, it also didn't wasted any time, and it immediately announced some immediate relief measures. All of us had must be knowing that the government announced first it announced 1.76 lakh crore package, then it also announced 20 lakh crore package. uh, these packages, these were more for farmer security than for food security. So I will discuss some of the interventions which were given under this the Atmanirbhar Bharat, the self-reliant India, the schemes and the budgets, and how they will result in farmer security, how they will affect the our farming community income. Under the Atmanirbhar Bharat this package, Government of India released allocated some 10,000 crore rupees for this micro food enterprises. These were meant for small farmers, the women farming community, the our self-help groups, our commodity interest groups, and it is expected that this allocation will help our 2 lakh micro food enterprises in the country to further technical upgradation, to have the food standards, and for the marketing of their produce, and for the branding of their produce. Ultimately, this will lead to the value addition, and the producer will get more price, more remunerated price. Similarly, we had a 1 lakh crore for agriculture infrastructure fund. This amount was meant for creating infrastructure, more of the infrastructure at the farm gate, and this would help our primary agriculture cooperative societies, our farmer producer organizations, our agri entrepreneurships, and our this agri startups. The 20,000 crores was allocated for this Prime Minister Matsya Sampada Yojana. Matsya Sampada Yojana, this amount was meant for the fishery sector for integrated, sustainable, and inclusive development of our both marine and inland fisheries. This was to fill the critical gaps in the fisheries value chain, and this amount is expected to give additional fish production of 70 lakh tons in the coming 5 years, and it is also expected to generate employment for 55 lakh persons, and it will double our export to some 10,000 crores. Similarly, some 13,000 crore was allocated to a national animal disease control program of foot for foot and mouth disease and brucellosis. These two diseases of animals, foot and mouth disease and brucellosis, these take a heavy toll of our cattle, especially the milk cattle. So 13,000 crore was especially kept for vaccination of all the animals. It is meant to achieve 100% vaccination of our cattle, buffaloes, sheep, goat, and pig population. And I do hope that this will completely eliminate this menace of foot and mouth disease and brucellosis from the country. Similarly, 15,000 crores was for animal husbandry infrastructure. For agri infrastructure, there was 1 lakh crore, and for animal husbandry infrastructure, there was 15,000 crore. It was meant for this infrastructure creation for the animal husbandry sector, for dairy processing, for value addition, and for cattle feed infrastructure. This is also very important. This step, important intervention. Similarly, we see for herbal cultivation. Herbal cultivation for 4,000 crores for herbal cultivation to cover 1 lakh hectares of land under various herbs, under various aromatic and medicinal plants. You know, in the country, we have many places which are still unexplored. They have a lot of potential for aromatic plants, for medicinal plants. I hope this, with this amount, the concerned industry will definitely go to the farmers and motivate them to grow medicinal and aromatic plants so that they could get good returns. Beekeeping, for beekeeping, we had 500 crores for the infrastructure development of beekeeping, and it is expected to increase the income of 2 lakh beekeepers. It is expected to increase the income of 2 lakh beekeepers in the country besides producing quality honey that can be exported to different countries. Under Operation Green, a amount of 500 crore. This was to prevent the distress sale. As I had already told you, due to the lack of the marketing facilities during this COVID-19 pandemic, farmers were forced to go for distress sale. They were forced to sell their vegetables, their produce at throwaway prices. No, this amount under Operation Green is especially meant for perishable items like fruits and vegetables, so that the farming community does not go for this distress sale. Now I will talk of the 3 ordinances, the recently announced 3 ordinances that the policymakers, the experts, the economists, they call these are the watersheds in Indian agriculture. Right from the day when we achieved the independence, uh, there were so many this laws which ultimately affected the farming community in a negative way. The Because a farmer cannot get a remunerative price until and unless he is providing the marketing facility. You know, with marketing facilities restricted in the whole country, farmer was forced to sell his produce at the APMCs, agricultural produce marketing committees, and in the whole country we have some 2,600 this APMCs that are regulated ones and some 6,000 unregulated markets in the country. You know, in these APMCs, there was a nexus between the commission agents and this local RTRs. What did they do? They take huge commissions from the farmer produce, and ultimately farmer didn't get. Farmer Farmers, in fact, there are reports, there are research surveys which show that farmer only get 40% of his produce. The rest of the income from his produce goes to the middleman and the commission agents. So these 3 ordinances, these are definitely going to liberate the Indian farmer from the shackles of the commission agents, from the trap of the RTRs. So I will discuss the 3 ordinances. No, they have been promulgated by the president, and no, they are ultimately have become the law. The first is the Farming Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Ordinance 2020. It ends the monopoly of the APMCs, Agriculture Produce Marketing Committees. Now, with this law, farmer is not bound to sell his produce in the APMC. He is free to sell his produce anywhere in the country. This act, this act allows the farming community to sell and to purchase his produce in any area where he gets a remunerative price. No, he is not to go to the APMC and sell his produce. Anyone can sell, anyone can purchase his produce. Only requirement is that the trader should have a valid PAN number. That the trader who purchases the produce of the farmer, he should have a valid PAN number. And what this act also emphasizes is that the farmer is to be normally paid on the same day. The day the trader purchases from the farmer, he has to pay the purchaser on the same day. And in extreme cases, the payment should not go behind 3 days. Within 3 days, he has to pay the farmer his price of his produce. The second ordinance relates to the Essential Commodities Act. You know, the Essential Commodities Act came into force in India in 1955. What this act is, that this act empowered the central government to control the production, to control the supply, to control the distribution, to control the trade, and to control the commerce in certain commodities, which commodities were called as the essential commodities. These essential commodities involve some food items, including some edible oils, fertilizers, and petroleum products. These were the essential commodities that were under the Essential Commodities Act 1955. So, hello, 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 hello. Yes, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Should I proceed, sir? Should I?
Yes, continue, please.
Thank you, thank you. No, this the 1955 Essential Commodity Act that has also been replaced with the new law. With the new law, no, the new law provides that central government has deregulated all these items. No, they will no they no they will regulate no they will regulate the supply of these items only in exceptional cases, when there is war, when there is war, when there is famine, or when there is any other natural calamity. Uh, the third one is the this ordinance on contract farming. The third one is the ordinance on the contract farming. This is called the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Ordinance. You know, contract farming has been going on in the country from several decades. What happened that often it was to the disadvantage of the farming community. Last year or a couple of years back, all of us read in the newspaper that in Gujarat, under the contract or farming agreement with farmers had with the PepsiCo had in fact filed a case in the court for a 2 crore compensation from the farming community. Ultimately, the Gujarat government intervened and settled the case to the benefit of the farming community. No, there were many loopholes in the previous contract farming arrangements that went much to the disadvantage of the farming community. No, with this new ordinance, with this new law, that loopholes have been plugged. The new this ordinance that comes with some new features. In fact, there would now be a written agreement which would specify the terms and the conditions of the quality of produce, grade of produce, timing of produce, supply of produce, and this agreement would be for 1 to 5 years. And previously, what happened, uh, when some farmers felt aggrieved, they had go to the court. And you know, in the India, when somebody goes to the court, it took years and years for settlement of the case. No, in this new ordinance, the farmer doesn't have to go to the court. He has to simply approach the subdivisional magistrate. Farmer has simply to go to the subdivisional magistrate, which is accessible and which is cost effective. Ultimately, the main objective of this ordinance is to transfer the risk of market from the earner to the sponsor or to the buyer, and with some buyback arrangements with forward linkages and the backward linkages, it is expected that farming community will also benefit from the this third ordinance. No, our government is also moving fast ahead. In fact, our Prime Minister has so many times said that we will go for one nation and one market. One nation, one market. Already in 2016, government has started the ENAM, Electronic National Agriculture Marketing. What was this? What the advantage of this ENAM was? Farmer is not required to be physically present at the market. In fact, he can sell his produce and he can purchase his produce from any place where he is physically present or not present. So central government, in consultation with the state governments, is working towards the one nation and one market. A recent statement by our Honorable Agriculture Minister Shri Narendra Singh Tomar said that the electronic mandis in the country has gone up to 962 in 18 states and 3 union territories. And presently in these mandis, 150 items that include food grains, oil seeds, fiber, vegetable, fruits, they are traded where farmer is physically not present. Farmers from Haryana selling their produce in Delhi markets without going to Delhi, and farmers from Delhi purchasing their produce from UP market, from this Jammu Kashmir market, from Haryana market without going to there. So in these markets, 2,900 metric tons of agriculture produce worth rupees 7.9 crore has been taken place since the inception of ENAM in 2016. So this is also a revolutionary step towards providing the marketing facilities to the farmers by creating a one nation, one market. Ultimately, it is the farmer who is going to benefit. Now, I will conclude with this slide that the recent structural changes, they will go a long way in unshackling the entire agriculture value chain. The agriculture value chain prior to these ordinances was in the hands of certain peoples. Ultimately, it was the farming community that had always to suffer. So with these recent structural changes, farmers are free to sell their produce in any market across the country. I can say that the Indian, this 145 million farmers in the country have now got a legal backing with these three ordinances, with these three new laws. They will be no more empowered. They will be no more at liberty. And through the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, the financial allocation to different structures, it will lead to more investments in agriculture infrastructures that will ultimately give the consumers some stable prices, and for the growers and the farmers, there will be a reduction in the price risks. Ultimately, the government's endeavor towards a self-reliant India by various intervention and policy to incentivize technology startups and the private sector will also prove rewarding. Thank you, sir. Thank you all of you for hearing me so patiently. So now I can take questions. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Dr. Praveen Kumar, who is a scientist from Krishi Vigyan Kendra, Leh, Ladakh.